Chapter 61, Price Reduction and Suppression, I Want Them All. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Soon, the chat channel was boiling, number 578443, fuck, my S-alloy was sold. Let me see who bought it, it was 10,086, number 678345, mine too. 10086 bought it. He must know the use of S-alloy. Otherwise he wouldn't buy it. He's not stupid and rich. Number 10010, haha, 10086 is really scheming. Look at the remaining S alloys on the trading platform. 10086 has kept them at a very low price. Do you know what this means? Number 293853, what does it mean? Number 10,000, this means 1086. After he knew the use of S-alloy, he hoarded a large amount of S-alloy. After that, as long as there is a large demand for S-alloy, he can make a lot of money by reselling it. After all, his purchase price is very low. Number 567454, well, I understand the reason. Isn't this just a trader? However, this behavior is also risky, right? What if the production is large or it is not used later? Then 10086 will also lose money. Number 10010, what if there is no loss? You just watch 10086 make a lot of money with tears. In my opinion, everyone should unite to lower the price of S-alloy. Let 1008 lose a lot of money. Number 734645. Number 324623. Number 234346. I feel something is wrong. I don't know what to say, but I think you have a brain hole. Number 322356, I agree. Let other survivors with S-alloy lower the price and prevent the price from rising. This is like playing. If 10086 has the capital to buy out all at once, he will be the only one in power at that time. Number 10,000, oh. I told you that you are stupid, but you still don't believe it. Imagine a survivor, I won't say one, even if it is a large-scale police station, the team of the model, if you ask them to buy so much S-alloy just now, how much materials will be left? Now 10086 is absolutely powerless, and can only watch us unite to sanction him. In the end, he will either sell at a loss or let it rot in his hands. Number 645234, okay, it seems to make sense. Number 987239, just listen to him and try. Anyway, I can't sell it at this price. Even if I sell it at a lower price, I'm happy. Chen Dong looked at the chat records in the villa and began to admire 10,000 and 10010, these two guys seem to have a grudge against him, and they always disrupted his plan. This time, if he really wanted to stock up and was powerless, he might be cheated. Unfortunately, Chen Dong was just building an underground fortress. Even now, the S-alloy materials are not enough, and a second purchase is needed. Seeing that many survivors began to adjust the price lower, Chen Dong resisted the impulse. And did not make a move at the first time. Not enough. More people may still be watching. For a long time, there was no large-scale purchase. Number 10,000, number 10010 were very excited and proud in the chat channel. Number 10,000, how is it? How is it? What did I say just now? The price is even lower than before, but there is no large-scale purchase. This is enough to show that 10086 can't stand up. I guess now he can only watch the price of S-alloy plummet, and he is so angry, that it seems that, just as number 10,000 said, Chen Dong fell a big fall. In the police station, the sheriff and others were also watching this battle of sanctions against number 10086. It seems that, as everyone expected, Chen Dong is really powerless and can only bite his teeth and swallow the bitter fruit. The Stinger looked at the low price of S-alloy at this time and couldn't help saying, Sheriff, do we also need to buy some S-alloy? After all, 10086 suddenly spent a lot of money to purchase a large number of S-alloys. I guess they got some news in advance. The price of S-alloy is just right now. We can actually The sheriff shook his head halfway through. Stinger, first of all, you have to know that we are a team. Materials must be carefully calculated and used on the blade. It's not worth it to rashly take action on an S alloy with unknown use. The Stinger was a little unconvinced. But, Sheriff, if S alloy has a special use in the future, we will buy it at a different price. What are you afraid of? The sheriff laughed and didn't care at all. There are so many people in the police station, there is no need to purchase. Our own output alone will be enough for S alloy in the future. According to the current situation, the output of S alloy will not be too small. At this time, Chen Dong was watching TV with Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu in the villa. He closed the chat channel directly, not taking the so-called sanctions seriously at all. In fact, when he saw them talking about sanctions against him, he couldn't help laughing. If it weren't for the special situation of S alloy and he didn't have so much time to collect it, Chen Dong wouldn't have bought it in large quantities with such fanfare. After all, it would be too eye-catching. However, Chen Dong was still very grateful to 10,001,0010. Now, more and more survivors who hold S alloys have put their prices in a standard range. The slightly cheaper ones were immediately bought by some speculative merchants and resold at the standard price. The expensive ones were directly thrown at the end of the transaction page. The price actually began to stabilize. After watching an episode of the TV series, Chen Dong coughed at the two girls who were still discussing whether the male lead should choose the female lead or the female second. Well, what's there to discuss? As a man, of course, I want them all. Xie Anqi's eyes were somewhat meaningful. Tian Xiaoyu blushed slightly and said softly, when I was studying, why didn't I see that you, Chen Dong, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, actually had these tricks? Chen Dong shouted innocently. Two beauties, my comments are only about the plot of the TV series, please don't escalate it to individuals. Seeing Chen Dong's frustration, Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu laughed even more wantonly. Chen Dong stretched out his big hand and kept tickling the sensitive waists of the two girls, making them laugh for a while. Only after hearing the two women show weakness did Chen Dong take his hand back with a victorious attitude. It's enough of a fuss. It's time for everyone to get down to business and prepare to buy S alloy again. Hearing this, Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu quickly got into the state, opened a trading platform, and were ready at any time. Chen Dong was waiting for everyone to relax, thinking that they had no ability to buy S alloy, and unify the price in an attempt to maintain a monopoly, and then he would go all out. The three of them acted together and bought up all the cheap S alloy. For a while, there were only a few S alloys left on the entire trading platform. They were all ridiculously expensive and belonged to the goods for fun. For example, the kind that exchanged 10 kilograms of rice for a piece of S alloy before. Some survivors just wanted to put the S alloy they had just collected on the trading platform. Seeing the reference price on the shelf, they couldn't help but be stunned. I thought, when did the price of S alloy rise so outrageously? It was obviously a relatively low price when it was just put on the shelf. When I opened the trading platform, I found that the S alloy was almost sold out. A large number of survivors began to denounce in the chat channel. Chapter 62, Building an Underground Fortress. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Number 3, Return the Money. 10,001,0010, you too, come out. Didn't you say that 10,086 has no materials to buy S alloy? Now almost all S alloys have been bought by 10086, what the hell? Number 464242, that's right, it made us put the price so low. Number 10,000, well, I didn't expect 10086 to have so many materials. I didn't see him make a move before. It seems that this person is very cunning, and we were all tricked by him. Number 10010, yes, who would have thought? This time, 10,086's purchase power is even greater than the first time. It's too rich. Number 356735, don't talk nonsense. No matter how rich 10,086's materials are, let's do the math first. You two promised us to unify the price at the beginning. Now we have this situation, whose fault is it? Number 46453, damn, I didn't want it to be so cheap at first, but it was sold too expensive and was directly pushed to the back of the shelf. If I wasn't in a hurry to use the materials, I would never have such a cheap price. It's really unlucky. Number 10086, 10,000, thank you, I have sent you the agreed materials before, and I will continue next time. Number 856897, What do you mean? 10,000, can you explain to us what this means? Number 29845, you are really amazing, 10,000, and 10,086 are playing a double act to purchase S alloy at a low price. Number 10,000, listen to my explanation. Chen Dong was overjoyed when he saw the large amount of S alloy in his backpack. He bought all of them at a low price. I wonder what expressions these sellers would have when they found out about the upcoming meteor shower and the importance of S alloy. At this time, Chen Dong had already collected enough S alloy to support the construction of the underground fortress, so he would not delay. Although Tian Xiaoyu said that the meteor shower would arrive in about a month, however, the sooner the underground fortress is built, the better. Chen Dong plans to build an underground fortress under his villa. First, it is for easy access. Second, because there are barriers and walls outside the villa, and the support of the automatic defense armed system, it is safer to build an underground fortress here. Third, it is also because the villa already has a basement. The construction of the underground fortress can be completely expanded using the structure of the basement. Chen Dong took out the construction drawings of the underground fortress, and together with Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu, he came to the basement of the villa and began to witness the construction process of the underground fortress. Underground fortress, primary underground fortress construction drawings, 1/1, .S alloy, 259/20, . Do you want to build an underground fortress? Yes/no, Chen Dong clicked to build an underground fortress, and the S alloy in his backpack began to melt and slowly attach to the walls of the original villa's basement, constantly merging, and constantly extending and expanding. It was still the same basement, but it was not exactly the original basement. Chen Dong looked at the walls of the basement, which should now be an underground fortress. The silver-textured light of the S alloy, the sliding wall, makes the underground fortress look like a white shuttle space, full of science fiction. The construction of the underground fortress was completed, causing Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu to exclaim, but Chen Dong held his chin with his hand, feeling that such an underground fortress seemed to have been seen somewhere. After thinking hard, he slapped his head. This low-key and restrained silver texture, the metal covering the entire wall, isn't it an upgraded version of iron window tiers? As long as people accept the setting in their hearts, they can never change the inherent impression brought by their subconscious mind. Now, Chen Dong looks at this underground fortress and feels more and more unpleasant. Fortunately, the underground fortress was built on the basis of the original basement, so it continues the original spaciousness. There is a living room and 2 nanny rooms on the negative first floor, as well as a bar counter, study and many other functions district. This made Chen Dong quite satisfied. After all, the underground fortress he had imagined in his mind at the beginning was like the one in the movie, where a lot of supplies and survivors were squeezed into a small space. Looking at the underground fortress where almost no other places were changed except the walls were covered with S alloy, Chen Dong was very satisfied. In such an environment, even if there was no meteorite shower, living here would be very comfortable. Chen Dong looked at Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu. He wanted to transform this underground fortress. After all, the original basement was still using the original design and layout, which he didn't like too much. Of course, to transform the underground fortress, Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu must participate. Chen Dong smiled and said, Anqi, Xiaoyu, I want to transform the underground fortress. How do you think it should be transformed? Xie Anqi was stunned. Transformation? What kind of transformation? Armament or home design? Chen Dong touched Xie Anqi's head and explained, silly, of course it's the transformation of home design. I can do the transformation of the armed myself. Speaking of home design, Tian Xiaoyu's eyes lit up. She likes home design very much. Tian Xiaoyu said, Chen Dong, I think the most important thing to change in the underground fortress is the S alloy wall. It is too cold and makes people feel scared. Kathy K also agreed. Yes, Chen Dong, the color of S alloy is too cold, it makes people feel a little dazzling, let's change the color. Chen Dong looked at the color of S alloy, he really didn't like it, and it was uncomfortable to look at it for a long time. It's better to choose warmer colors, Chen Dong nodded and agreed with Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu's opinions. What color or wallpaper do you two plan to use? Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu said at the same time, blue. The two were stunned, and then smiled at each other, unexpectedly, they both like blue. Chen Dong smiled and said, okay, 2-1, the minority obeys the majority, then paint the wall with blue. But let's make it clear in advance that you are not allowed to be lazy when working, everyone has to work. Xie Anqi acted coquettishly and took Chen Dong's arm. I know, how could I bear to let you suffer alone? Tian Xiaoyu glanced at it, looked away and said lightly, I am the same, I will do my part. Chen Dong continued to point to the original living room and said, by the way, this living room does not need to be modified. It is just a simple leather sofa, coffee table and TV. Let's just leave it like this. After all, we don't have any other furniture, so we can just make do with it. Xie Anqi walked to the living room and pointed to the wall where the sofa was leaning against and said, Chen Dong, can we hang a painting here? I like a painting in our upstairs room. It looks good hanging here. Chen Dong nodded. Sure, of course there is no problem. We will take it down and hang it up later. Tian Xiaoyu looked at the original bar counter, then looked at the surrounding layout, and said, Chen Dong, it seems that our underground fortress does not have a kitchen. Why not transform this bar counter into a simple open kitchen? Chapter 63, Major Transformation, Hunting Operation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Many of the daily necessities are raw and need to be processed before they can be eaten, usually in the villa. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu are the ones doing the cooking, while Chen Dong is responsible for waiting for food. Hearing what Tian Xiaoyu said at this time, he realized that the underground fortress was missing a kitchen, no wonder it always feels like it's missing a bit of fireworks. After hearing Tian Xiaoyu's words, Xie Anqi also realized it later. Yes, Xiaoyu, you are so meticulous. If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have noticed that the underground fortress doesn't have a kitchen. Xiaoyu, how do you and Anqi plan to design the kitchen? Tian Xiaoyu looked at Xie Anqi, waiting for her to speak. Xie Anqi pondered for a while and then said, this bar counter must be replaced. We have to find a table to use as a stove, then collect a batch of new kitchen utensils and put a dining table next to the kitchen. It doesn't have to be too troublesome. Just keep it simple. Tian Xiaoyu also nodded. After all, the underground fortress is an emergency evacuation place, so there is really no need to go through too much trouble. However, Chen Dong disagreed. That's not possible, the kitchen must be done. Leave it to me. I'm responsible for finding suitable kitchen utensils and stoves. Food is the most important thing for the people. How can the kitchen in this heaven be careless? Besides, if you two don't make the place where you cook better, one day you won't like it and take it out on the food. The food will be unpalatable, and I will suffer as well. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu said with a smile, this is what you said. You are responsible for the kitchen decoration. You are not allowed to cheat. Chen Dong smiled confidently. No cheating, whoever cheats is the puppy, okay. Next, start choosing a bedroom. Since there were only 2 rooms, Chen Dong was allocated one by himself. No, you two will share a room, and I will share another room. Chen Dong originally thought that he could live with Xie Anqi in the underground fortress. Unexpectedly, Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu teamed up to rush into another room. Tian Xiaoyu smiled and said, we are considerate of you. We know that you are a boy and want to sleep more comfortably, so we specially let you sleep by yourself. The 2 of us girls squeeze together, and you will be satisfied. Chen Dong resisted to no avail and could only accept it. The 3 of them didn't have much idea about other places in the underground fortress. There is no need to fuss too much, just keep it as it is. Then, the 3 began to cover the furniture with cloth and prepare to paint the walls. Chen Dong took out the paint and brush from his backpack and slowly mixed out the greenish blue that Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu liked. He remembered that in the previous world, this kind of blue seemed to be called Tiffany blue. It's not difficult to mix paint. Chen Dong took out a large bucket of blue paint and mixed it with white paint. After the blue became lighter, he added yellow paint bit by bit and slowly mixed it. Quickly, the color Tiffany blue came to mind. After bringing out 3 buckets of paint, Chen Dong gave Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu a bucket and a brush each and started painting the walls in different areas. The area of the underground fortress is not small at all. If they hadn't worked together, Chen Dong would have been able to work alone for a whole day. Soon, the 3 of them looked at the painted wall and felt satisfied in their hearts. For the kitchen, Chen Dong also purchased range hoods, refrigerators, and gas stoves on the trading platform. Finally, I built a stove with marble by myself and polished it myself. Chen Dong wiped the sweat from his head, looked at the rough marble stove, and nodded. It can also be used. After finishing the areas where the transformation was discussed before, Chen Dong started some technological transformation of the underground fortress. Today's trading platforms already have many technological products, it's just that there is no electricity and no internet, which renders it useless. Chen Dong also took advantage of the opportunity to purchase a lot of technological supplies in advance, for example, earlier cameras, drones, etc. Chen Dong took out the smart lock from his backpack and replaced all the doors in the underground fortress. Finally, open a smart assistant integrated with the Internet of Things and connect to the camera outside the villa. It can ensure that even if they are in the underground fortress, they can immediately detect the situation on the ground. In addition, Chen Dong also installed a computer in the living room. Although it cannot connect to the internet, the cameras connected to the entire villa are equivalent to a surveillance monitor. Chen Dong didn't even think about what he could do with this outdated Pentium processor. Being able to act as a monitor is enough. Because of the addition of an underground fortress, the entire villa consumes more electricity, and the fuel consumption of the gasoline generator increases rapidly. Chen Dong could only run to refuel frequently. Although it was a bit troublesome, he still had to get the power supply to the underground fortress so that it could operate normally for a period of time. After finishing these, the transformation of the underground fortress is completed. After building an underground fortress that could withstand the coming meteorite rain, Chen Dong, Xie Anqi, and Tian Xiaoyu did not relax. Instead, they went out early and came back late every day, driving a dilapidated Jetta to collect supplies and constantly hunt zombies to gain experience. Value. Only by constantly improving one's own strength is the right way. There are about 100 zombies swarming. There are probably high-level supply boxes. Get ready to take action. Chen Dong put down the binoculars, sat back in the car, and called Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu who were chatting. The 3 of them were now in a flat park and parked the Jetta on the side of the road. There was dust in the distance, and I couldn't see anything clearly. It was only when Chen Dong took out the telescope that he could see the zombies clearly. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu stopped chatting and loaded their guns. Each of them had 2 pistols. With sufficient ammunition, their cooperative firepower could achieve a certain degree of suppression. Chen Dong and his team had been going out for the past few days and had gone deep into the zombie nest. Along with the huge risks, the benefits were also exciting. Chen Dong had already upgraded his weapons. The original P-92 pistol was eliminated and given to Xie Anqi, and he replaced it with the UMP-9 submachine gun that also used 9mm bullets. Later, he collected several pistols. 2 pistols suitable for 9mm bullets were selected and distributed to Tian Xiaoyu, and the other pistols were listed on the trading platform and sold at a satisfactory price. Chen Dong also found that as the team's power gradually grew, supplies were indeed not as scarce as at the beginning. In fact, many guns can be seen on the trading platform. Although they are basically pistols, this also shows that other teams have begun to have a lot of advanced weapons. Chen Dong drove the Jetta and rushed towards the zombies. He did not slow down, but drove the car straight and hit the zombies. Then, he asked Xie Anqi to hold the steering wheel, put on his combat uniform, and rushed into the zombies with a submachine gun in his hand. Xie Anqi held the steering wheel, unbuckled the seatbelt, and skillfully stepped from the co-pilot's seat to the driver's seat, driving for Chen Dong. Unlike Chen Dong, she is currently mainly responsible for detouring around the battlefield where Chen Dong is. Tian Xiaoyu in the car is responsible for throwing Molotov cocktails and explosives to reduce Chen Dong's pressure. Chapter 64, Xie Anqi's Skill. healing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, Chen Dong was already holding a critical Tang Dao, fighting with the zombies at close range. The UMP-9 submachine gun had quite a few magazines, but it was not enough when facing a large number of zombies. Chen Dong also had no time to refill the magazine. Roar. Chen Dong was hit by a heavy punch from behind. Although he was wearing a combat uniform, he still felt his internal organs surging. He chopped down the zombie in front of him with a knife, and turned around to chop at the zombie that attacked him. This zombie seemed to have mutated, and was different from the zombies he usually saw, and was unusually strong. However, Chen Dong had long been accustomed to it. Since the emergence of mutant creatures, mutant zombies have also begun to emerge. This type of zombie has improved its physical fitness and strength by a level. Chen Dong suspected that in the future, there might be zombies with intelligence and various special abilities. Just like the bosses in the Resident Evil game, even a critical Tang Dao cannot cause fatal wounds on this mutant zombie, and it needs to be chopped one by one, just like the mutant spider that Chen Dong fought fiercely. Any creature related to mutation is extremely difficult to deal with. Fortunately, this mutant zombie has not yet developed intelligence. Although it knows that the critical Tang Dao in Chen Dong's hand is dangerous to it, it still continues to attack with its body, and never dodges from beginning to end. Chen Dong is not feeling well either. Although he is wearing a battle uniform, the powerful bombardment of the mutant zombies constantly causes recoil. A trace of blood even overflowed from the corner of Chen Dong's mouth. Xie Anqi and the others saw that Chen Dong was in trouble and wanted to come to help. But they were blocked by zombies. They had no way to stay, so they could only stay outside the zombie circle, attract zombies as much as possible, and then use long-range attacks to eliminate them. After all, the two of them were not like Chen Dong, who was wearing a battle uniform and could run rampant in a zombie pile without restraint. Even if ordinary people take antiviral serum, they are not afraid of zombie infection. But zombies can eat people alive, which is more terrifying than infection. Chen Dong was restrained by the mutant zombies, and soon other zombies surrounded him. He must escape immediately, otherwise, he will die of exhaustion. Chen Dong gritted his teeth and threw several grenades not far from him, but on the ground where the zombies must pass. Boom. The grenades exploded, and the zombies were blown to pieces. The mutant zombie was also shocked and moved much slower, but Chen Dong was also in the explosion circle. The defense of the battle suit was so strong that it was not damaged in such an amazing explosion. However, Chen Dong's internal injuries were a little aggravated, and he was also blown up. He just thought that he would never stand in the grenade circle again. A real grenade explosion is too deadly, and the recoil of energy is enough to rupture a person's internal organs. Chen Dong has been physically strengthened. Even he almost couldn't stand the internal injuries, let alone ordinary people. Chen Dong tore open a breakthrough, did not continue to entangle with the mutant zombies too much, turned around and ran. While retreating, he threw Molotov cocktails and grenades behind him frantically. Molotov cocktails and grenades hinder ordinary zombies, and the mutant zombie will naturally not be affected by these small injuries. It did not stop, but ran after Chen Dong. Chen Dong called it bad luck. However, there are still many zombies behind the mutant zombie. He can only choose to make a detour and let Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu eliminate the zombies as much as possible to reduce the pressure on his side. Of course, he will also find the right opportunity to kill some ordinary zombies. Only when the ordinary zombies are completely eliminated, the three of them will be sure to deal with this mutant zombie together. If Chen Dong fights this mutant zombie alone, it is really an unknown. The last time he killed a mutant creature alone was a coincidence. These mutant zombies originally require a lot of firepower to suppress, but Chen Dong had no time to change the magazine. You chased me and I chased him. Chen Dong was in front, and the critical Tang sword in his hand kept flashing, and his speed did not slow down. The mutant zombie was behind him, always one step away from catching up. But every time he could let Chen Dong escape, Chen Dong kept dragging it. Even though his physical strength had dropped a lot, he was still waiting, because he believed in Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu, and was buying time for them to clear the zombies. It must be said that the concentration of this mutant zombie was amazing. He didn't care about his kind falling one by one, and it seemed that there was only Chen Dong in his eyes. I don't know how long it has been. Chen Dong seemed to be tired. He stopped running and stopped. Roar. The mutant zombie rushed towards Chen Dong and punched him, but he didn't get close, and was hit by a bullet instead. Although it was not fatal, it blocked its progress. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu had completed the clearing and finally had time to help Chen Dong. Chen Dong took this opportunity to quickly change the magazine of the UMP-9 submachine gun, then he picked up the submachine gun and kept firing at the mutant zombies. At the same time, Chen Dong reminded Xie Dao, take advantage of this moment. Quickly change the magazine and throw grenades and explosives at the mutant zombies. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu obeyed and did as he was told. The UMP-9 submachine gun soon misfired, but then, Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu suppressed the firepower again. When Chen Dong changed the magazine, it was another cycle. The mutant zombie was suppressed to death by such a fire cycle. Hiss. Roar. The mutant zombie roared, as if venting his unwillingness, but in the end, he fell down helplessly. It was really that the fire cycle of Chen Dong and the other two was too overbearing, and the bullets were output like crazy. Chen Dong walked in front of the mutant zombie and chopped off the zombie's head with a critical tang sword. Only then did he feel relieved to take off his combat uniform and kneel directly on the ground. This move scared Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu. The two hurried forward and supported him. Chen Dong's face flushed, and then he coughed, and actually coughed up blood. Obviously, the internal injuries from the previous battle broke out. He was in a very bad state at this time. Seeing that Chen Dong was about to faint, Tian Xiaoyu was very anxious. What can I do? After all, it was an internal injury, and there was no way to deal with it. At this time, Xie Anqi slowly put her hand on Chen Dong's chest, and a faint white light appeared. Chen Dong's complexion began to improve. In a trance, Chen Dong felt like he was taking a hot bath. This familiar but ominous illusion woke him up instantly. Chen Dong suddenly found that his physical strength had recovered. And his internal injuries were also eliminated, and his body functions returned to the peak moment, and the culprit was all from the mysterious white light in Xie Anqi's hand. Facing the doubts of Chen Dong and Tian Xiaoyu, Xie Anqi wiped the sweat from her forehead and explained with a smile, I have reached level 10 and obtained a skill, healing, which can instantly heal injured patients and restore their physical strength. Chen Dong was overjoyed. It seems that Xie Anqi has really become a full-time doctor in the team. Even the skills that have been upgraded to level 10 are healing skills, and this, healing, is too domineering. It is simply god level. The dying person was directly pulled up by Xie Anqi, as if he had been injected with chicken blood, and rejoined the battlefield in full condition. This is very scary. Chapter 65 System Announcement, Too Late to Regret. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Such a skill is beyond the standard, and there must be some limitations. Chen Dong asked, then Qi, how many times can this skill be used in a day? Xie Anqi raised 3 fingers, 3 times. Even though he could only use it 3 times a day, Chen Dong was still impressed by this skill. Xie Anqi reached level 10 and gained the healing skill, which was a timely blessing for their team. The current situation in the apocalyptic world is not very good. Even though Chen Dong has sufficient supplies, he still needs professional medical supplies for injuries and illnesses, but with this skill, at least the need for medical supplies is not so urgent. But the premise is that Xie Anqi's healing skill can reach what limit to heal the injured. Xie Anqi didn't even understand this. Therefore, Chen Dong could only give up. The scope of cure can only be left to be explored through continuous practice in the future. What's more important now is that they killed the mutated zombies, and a gold-level supply box emitting golden light was placed in front of them. Chen Dong opened this gold-level supply box. There are 2 rare materials inside, and some trivial common materials: laser defense device, automated Gatling gun, 100 bottles of mineral water, 2 pounds of spare ribs. This gold-level supply box can be considered very rich. You know, the villa is Chen Dong's base camp, and there is an underground fortress built below to protect him from meteorite rain. It is very necessary to have a powerful automatic defense arms system. Chen Dong took back all the supplies and felt refreshed. I collected 2 materials that can be used in the automatic defense arms system. This trip is not in vain. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu were equally delighted. Now the automatic defense arms system of the villa is somewhat backward. There are still some simple crossbows and musket-type thermal weapons, which are unable to withstand the survivors of foreign invasion. Xie Anqi cheered happily. great, our automatic defense arms system should have been upgraded a long time ago. Before, we had no choice but to stare and worry. Tian Xiaoyu also breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, during this period, the other survivors in the villa area are always looking around at us. I guess they will soon be unable to hold themselves back. After all, these days are different. It is no longer surprising that survivors possess thermal weapons, crossbows, most cold weapons, and even Molotov cocktails will be gradually eliminated. Instead, there are powerful thermal weapons, as well as more deadly long-range grenades or explosives. Chen Dong smiled and said, "You can put your heart in your stomach now. If there are some people who don't open their eyes, just let them go and never come back. Let's go home." The three of them got into the Jetta and headed home. Shortly after returning to the shelter in the villa area, the system issued an announcement: "Dear survivors, a meteor shower is about to hit this world in half a month. At that time, it will produce huge radiation and energy impacts on the ground. The only way to escape the meteorite rain is to build an underground fortress. The system will gradually send underground fortress construction drawings to survivors' mailboxes within today. Please check them. I hope all survivors can build underground fortresses in time to seek survival before the meteorite rain arrives." The system issued an announcement that the meteorite rain was coming. A week has passed since Tian Xiaoyu observed the meteor shower. Chen Dong and the others had built the underground fortress early. However, the accurate time announced by the system is several days ahead of Tian Xiaoyu's prediction. This is not good news. The other survivors were not informed in advance. Therefore, after they received the system announcement, their minds were spinning for a long time, but they still did not recover. Many people in the chat channel were already panicking. They have been tortured by zombies to the point of being intimidated, and now there is another natural disaster. Moreover, it is the most terrifying meteorite, you know. This is how prehistoric dinosaurs became extinct. Why doesn't this make people worried? Number 948524, Meteor Rain. Ah, I am relieved. I don't want to play anymore. Whoever likes to play can continue. Hehe, enjoy the last time of your life. Number 435324, I still remember not long ago that a brother speculated whether there would be natural disasters in the future. I really want to say that you are a genius. Damn, this time it was a meteorite rain, and the next time it will be an earthquake and tsunami. Hey, it's really hard to survive in order to survive. I have to run around every day to survive, but I don't even look like a human being. Number 352534, is the meteorite rain small scale or large scale? How long will it take to hide in the underground fortress? There are not enough supplies. Number 575673, it's so desperate. Number 756543, let's not talk about this for now. Have you received the construction drawings of the underground fortress? Number 548560, I haven't received it yet. What's wrong? Number 967864, the construction conditions for the underground fortress are S-alloy. The survivors discussed how to survive the catastrophe of the meteorite rain in the chat channel. Some people began to receive the construction drawings of the underground fortress and understood the role of the S-alloy that suddenly appeared during this period. Number 564533, what? Say it again. What is the underground fortress made of? Number 345235, I also received the construction drawings of the underground fortress. It's really S-alloy. It costs 20 pieces of S-alloy, and it can be upgraded later. Oh my god, they were all sold before. Number 764322, Gani, it's all because of the nonsense of 10,000 and 10,010 before. Now S-alloy has been basically bought by 10086. Number 645452, fuck. The price of S-alloy has skyrocketed immediately. It seems that 10086 will make a lot of money. Chen Dong is also very efficient and quickly put a lot of S-alloy on the shelves. He had hoarded a lot before. The small amounts on the trading platform now have no way to shake the price he set. If someone lowers the price, they will be directly photographed by Chen Dong and the other two who have been watching the trading platform. Afterwards, They will change the price and put it on the trading platform again. Of course, some people also picked up the leak, but gradually, only Chen Dong's large amount of S-alloy was left, which was the first product on the first page, and the selling price was twice the average price he purchased it for. Chapter 66 Complaints and the Anti-10086 Alliance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Number 86743110086, please be a human being. 10 grenades, a pistol, 2 pieces of body armor, or silver-level manufacturing blueprints in exchange for a piece of S-alloy, you might as well grab it. Number 346335, damn it, I stocked up on more than 10 pieces of S-alloy before, but I couldn't help but sell them all. Damn it, now I can only afford 8 yuan at most with all my wealth, and I'm so depressed. Number 989234, hey, what's the use of talking about it now? Let's find a way to collect materials to exchange for S-alloy. The meteor shower is coming in half a month. If we don't seize the time to build an underground fortress, we will be in trouble by then. Number 7564234, so what if I spend all my money to exchange for S-alloy? Then I will finally build an underground fortress, and there will be no living supplies. I will starve to death of thirst in the underground fortress. It will be even more miserable. Chen Dong has been watching the content of the chat channel. He showed no mercy to these survivors. On the contrary, we should be more determined to stabilize prices and take advantage of the opportunity to earn more supplies. In this disaster, he just wanted to ensure that his team of 3 people could survive, if the price is lowered due to a moment of weakness. The worst scenario is that it will be bought by other speculative survivors and then sold at a high price. Rather than letting others benefit, it's better to get the first crab first. This time he sold S-alloy. Whether the price increased or decreased later had nothing to do with him. He has set aside enough S-alloy for emergencies. Chen Dong spoke in the chat channel. Number 10086, everyone, S-alloy is on the shelves. This is a must-buy material. Don't you plan to buy it? Number 353452, I can't afford it, why not collect it myself? Number 10086, brother, I am not pouring cold water on you. It is not easy to collect S-alloy. I have gone out so many times in the past few days, but I have only collected more than a dozen pieces. It is thrilling, so I advise you. It's better to exchange for S-alloy as soon as possible to survive this natural disaster. Number 546342, 10086, can't you make it cheaper? Number 10086, that's not possible. As the saying goes, rare things are valuable. The output of S-alloy is so small now. If you don't sell it more expensive, I'm sorry to everyone. Number 677454, 10086, we are all human beings. Aren't you afraid of being punished by God if you kill them all like this? Number 10086, I have heard these words too many times, and they are really boring. I only know that if I don't collect more supplies, I will starve to death and die of thirst. Also, let alone God's punishment, if you don't build an underground fortress for this meteorite rain, I guess it's a punishment from heaven, right? The other survivors were completely helpless. Obviously, Chen Dong has given up. He is a qualified survivor without any unnecessary sympathy, unless there are enough chips to impress him. Therefore, many survivors still gave in. After all, what do supplies mean in the face of a real crisis? Meteor rain can really kill people. In the past, zombies could still hide, but the system announcement clearly mentioned that the only way to escape the meteor shower was to hide in the underground fortress. The S-alloys that Chen Dong put on the shelves began to be sold one after another. Although the price is expensive, it is not completely unacceptable. After all, building an underground fortress only requires 20 pieces of S-alloy. Many people still have some in stock. There were also some survivors who endured the pain and bought 20 pieces of S-alloy from Chen Dong, but ended up with nothing in their hands. Chen Dong doesn't care how much these survivors buy, he is the one who makes money anyway. I just feel that making a fortune is really profitable. Then sort out the unlimited supplies obtained in the past few days: unlimited hand sanitizer, unlimited cotton swabs, unlimited gauze, unlimited alcohol, unlimited anti-inflammatories. Now, they don't have to worry about supplies for the time being. You can even ensure that you eat meat every day and supplement enough protein every day, sometimes. I'll have some Romanée-Conti red wine and stay in the villa with the air conditioner blowing on and watch TV. This kind of life, compared to other survivors, is really a top-notch enjoyment, but at this moment, many people have become intolerable to Chen Dong. At this time, the villa area was a mixed bag. Originally, Chen Dong came for a big purge, which discouraged many people who coveted him. But this time, because of S. alloy, these survivors in the villa area broke out. They were also tricked by Chen Dong and sold the S. alloy they had at a low price. As soon as the system announcement came out, they were dumbfounded. The meteor shower is coming soon. An underground fortress must be built. S. alloy is actually the material used to build underground fortresses. Then, the price of S. alloy skyrocketed, but time waits for no one, so they can only bite the bullet and buy S. alloy back at a high price before the meteorite rain arrives. They naturally placed the blame on Chen Dong for this debt. In a villa in the villa area, dozens of survivors were sitting densely, from several teams. Normally, the water in the well does not interfere with the water in the river, and there is no traffic. But because of Chen Dong's existence, several of their teams were forced to sit together. A group of people were indignant in the hall, all denouncing Chen Dong's crimes. A sturdy man said dissatisfiedly, 10086 has monopolized several times by relying on his abundant materials. The materials we collected with great difficulty were easily plundered by him in a despicable way. Humph, he took all the benefits. A gentle young man with glasses next to the sturdy man also frowned. Yes, this time the monopoly of S. alloy has caused an uproar. Those of us who live in the villa area must have been worried about this matter. And 10086 must be looking at our jokes with complacency now. We must overthrow such a capital lackey. The words of the young man with glasses resonated with many people present, and they expressed their opinions one after another. That's right, we must unite and eradicate 10,086 together. Before, we were afraid of 10,086's pistol and the automatic defense weapon system, but now is different from the past. We also have pistols and grenades. 10,086's pistols and the crossbows and muskets on the defense system are not to be feared at all. Down with 10086, build a harmonious order together. The young man adjusted his glasses at this time, squinted his eyes and said, 10086 must be eradicated, but if we attack by force, there will inevitably be casualties. We have to think of a way to make it as bloodless as possible. Some survivors who originally proposed a strong attack suddenly stopped. I didn't think so much before. After all, there are many people, and one person's spit can drown 10086, so why are you afraid of him? However, after the young man reminded them, they remembered 10,086's previous record. He is definitely a tough guy. It is still easy to counterattack fiercely before death and take away some survivors of the encirclement. No one was willing to take this risk, so, everyone agreed with the young man with glasses and no longer thought about attacking by force. Chapter 67 Conspiracy, A Bloodless Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, a team leader spoke. This is a man wearing a mask with a sharp sword tied to his broken arm in his left hand. Fox, tell me, what should we do to avoid a bloody battle? If we don't attack by force, there's no way we can get close to the villa behind the 10086 barrier, let alone settle the score with 10086. Fox is the codename of this bespectacled young man and the leader of one of the teams in the villa area. Hearing the one-armed leader's question, the fox smiled slyly and said, "Don't worry, iron-armed leader, I already have a plan to keep 10,086 safe." Iron Arm raised his eyebrows, somewhat dissatisfied with the fox's pretense of mystery. He said calmly, "Since you already have a countermeasure, why don't you stop talking in circles and talk about it? Say it directly, and everyone can make plans in advance." The fox smiled slightly and said unhurriedly, "It's actually very simple. We select some people to pretend to be wounded and come to 10886 for help. We also promise to give adequate rewards and ask 10086 to rescue our wounded. As long as they can get close and open the barrier, if someone pretending to be a wounded person makes a sudden attack, 10086 will be caught off guard and won't have time to close the barrier. When the time comes, our large troops will be ambushing the surrounding areas. As soon as they see someone taking action, they will rush in. As long as 10086 loses its most solid shield, there is nothing to fear. After hearing this plan, many people nodded. However, some people have raised doubts. Fox, isn't the plan you proposed not very reliable? What if 10,086 opens the barrier but is unwilling to rescue the wounded? Wouldn't that mean the plan is scrapped? The Fox shook his head with a confident expression. Based on my understanding of profit-seeking people like 10086, he will definitely open the door as long as the conditions we propose are generous enough. Some survivors asked, even if 10,086 opens the door to rescue the wounded, will the raid on the wounded be effective? The Fox did not speak, but suddenly took out a dagger from his backpack and rushed directly towards the survivor who spoke. The man had no time to react, and the dagger in the Fox's hand had already reached his neck. It was just a hair away from piercing his throat. The Fox retracted the dagger and said confidently, "What if I play the role of the wounded? Do you think I am qualified to raid 10086? The survivor who just asked the question wiped the sweat from his head and was convinced. The Fox leader is so fast that 10,086 will definitely not be able to react. Maybe the Fox leader will be able to assassinate 10,086 directly. Iron Arm and the strong man before laughed. Okay, the Fox is indeed amazingly fast. In this way, even if 10086 is lucky enough to escape this fatal blow, there will be absolutely no chance of closing the barrier wall. As long as the Fox can buy us 10 seconds, we can definitely rush in. When the collective firepower comes, 10086 will be unable to fly. Faced with the adulation from everyone, the Fox did not become overwhelmed. As everyone knows, we are the latest team to come to the villa area. Before this, I have always heard about the various deeds of 10,086, and I have always wanted to have a few fights with 10,086 to see what this legendary aloof ranger is like. How dare you refuse the police station's offer and challenge the mutated spider alone? This time, thank you for giving me such an opportunity. Iron Arm said, Fox, if 10086 is successfully eliminated this time, you will definitely take the lead. When the time comes, you can pick his supplies first. King Kong, do you have any opinions? The strong man shook his head. Our team has no objection. If Fox's plan is really successful, then I, King Kong, will be convinced. 10,086 supplies can be given to Fox first. The Fox smiled and waved his hand. Everyone has come together because they share the same goals, so don't talk about this. I only need 10,086's automatic defense weapon system. The other barriers, walls and generators are for you two teams. Iron Arm and King Kong were very satisfied with this answer. What I said before about letting the Fox choose first was just for the occasion. If the Fox is really a lion and is greedy, then after 10086 is wiped out, it will be the Fox's turn. Fortunately, the Fox also knew what was right. Although he offered to choose the automatic defense system first, he was not greedy. Iron Arm and King Kong are also acceptable, Iron Arm said, then I want a generator. What do you think, King Kong? King Kong nodded. What I like is the wall. Before, I was worried that you wanted to compete with me for the barrier wall. Since you want the generator, it would be best if we each get what we need. It seems that the three teams have regarded Chen Dong's rare materials as their own and have begun to discuss the distribution plan. Then it's settled. When the time comes, we will divide the remaining ordinary supplies into three. Iron Arm was very happy. He was one of the first people to come to the villa area. He had seen the fight between Chen Dong and Xie Anqi's team, and even witnessed Chen Dong's iron-blooded methods afterwards. He wished that Chen Dong would die soon. After all, with such an evil star around, it is really difficult to sleep peacefully. After finalizing the plan, Fox proposed, 2 leaders, to ensure that everything is foolproof, we can sprinkle poison on the materials rewarded to 10,086 for rescue. Food and water, all sprinkle poison. If we can trick 10,086 into eating directly, there is no need to take risks, and we can achieve a truly bloodless victory. King Kong frowned. But won't these materials be wasted? Iron Arm agreed with Fox's suggestion and said, King Kong, you can't catch a wolf without sacrificing a child. Although a lot of materials will be wasted, as long as 10086 is successfully eradicated, all the efforts will be worth it, and we will get several times, or even dozens of times the reward. King Kong gritted his teeth. Okay. Then it's up to you. Spray all the materials with poison when the time comes. Fox nodded, and then ordered the men of the 3 teams present. Everyone, we will soon be able to take a hot shower and use air conditioning. Please be alert and eliminate 10086 in one fell swoop. Everyone shouted in unison, shouting to eliminate 10086. They seemed to have seen the happy life in the future. Chen Dong got up early today, however. He was a little angry, because he got up early, not because he woke up naturally. He usually likes to sleep until 8 o'clock, then stretch his body and stretch his joints before getting up, but today, he was woken up at 7 o'clock. It was other survivors in the villa area. Among the 7 or 8 people, there were several wounded people with gauze bandages, who were banging on the door outside and shouting loudly. This made Chen Dong very angry. Fuck, why are you knocking on the door so early in the morning? Are you looking for trouble? Chapter 68 Seeking Help, Seeking Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Dong was very unhappy. He turned on the surveillance loudspeaker and said calmly, What are you doing? Didn't I say that you are not allowed to approach my shelter? Or are you saying that as time goes by, you will lose your memory? The fox who mixed in and pretended to be a wounded person heard Chen Dong's voice, raised his head, and shouted loudly, 10086, we are not provoking trouble, but we are here to ask for your help. Please help us. Chen Dong snorted coldly and said indifferently, then you have found the wrong person. This is not a shelter and I will not provide help. The fox said calmly, 10086, we ask you to give us some medical supplies. We can use daily supplies as reward. Moreover, the reward will definitely satisfy you. Chen Dong thought for a while, I have obtained unlimited amounts of alcohol and anti-inflammatory drugs. If I exchange them for some daily necessities, it is not impossible. After all, I don't have unlimited food. The more things that fill your stomach, the better, Chen Dong said through the loudspeaker. Okay, wait for me, I will come down and open the door. The fox was secretly happy. Sure enough, 10086 couldn't help it when he heard about the reward. The wages of avarice is death. It's a pity that this time, you will fall into my hands. Chen Dong walked down the second floor. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu have already gotten up and are making breakfast. They also heard what Chen Dong said on the loudspeaker. I don't agree with Chen Dong opening the door hastily. Xie Anqi said, Chen Dong, have you forgotten Xie Anqi's team? They also came to spy on our reality, and finally launched a night attack. If we hadn't had enough supplies and prepared in advance, we would have become them. You must be careful not to make the same mistake again. Tian Xiaoyu also nodded in agreement. Yes, Chen Dong, we have always used iron-blooded methods to scare the entire villa area so that they would not dare to make mistakes. The purpose of this sudden visit is certainly not simple. Chen Dong smiled slightly. Of course I know this, and I can't open the door directly. I will only take the next step if they put the supplies in my hands. Tian Xiaoyu frowned, still worried. What if it's a trap? They deliberately use supplies to lure them, isn't that just what they wanted? Chen Dong nodded. This is natural. So, don't run out of the yard later. I will go out alone. If the situation is not right, I can put on the battle uniform immediately and turn on the automatic defense arms system. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu nodded in agreement. As long as Chen Dong remains vigilant, the guys outside basically have no chance to take advantage of him. Then be careful. We will keep an eye on you in the house. If anything goes wrong, we will give you fire support. After the 3 people discussed it, Chen Dong walked to the yard. He said through the door, what supplies are you going to give in exchange? I'm going to say something ugly in front of you. If you want to get help from me, I won't do it without a reward that satisfies me. The fox directly opened the transaction window and sent Chen Dong 10 kilograms of meat, 20 kilograms of rice, and several buckets of pure tap water. 10086, this is our sincerity, what do you think? We just want you to help us heal. Chen Dong received the supplies sent by Fox. The richness of these supplies greatly exceeded his expectations. I didn't expect these guys to be so generous. At the same time, this also made Chen Dong secretly vigilant. After all, such a large amount of supplies is not a small amount. In order to save resources, these teams generally allocate rations every day and are very restrained. It won't be as luxurious as having a full meal. Therefore, these supplies, which Chen Dong thought were not small, were absolutely astronomical in their team. It seems unrealistic to be willing to give it up in exchange for medical assistance. It seems that these guys have bad intentions. Chen Dong sneered in his heart, I'd just like to take this opportunity to catch you all in one fell swoop so that I don't have to worry about you anymore. Chen Dong slowly opened the fortress wall and let a few people in. The fox walked in first and looked up at the automatic defense device in the yard. They were just some outdated crossbows and firecrackers, simply decorations, just in case. The fox asked tentatively. 10086, your automatic defense arms system seems useless, right? Chen Dong snorted lightly, not politely. Aren't you here to receive rescue treatment? If you comment on my home, I can send you out for treatment. Why don't you give it to me? The fox laughed loudly and broke his face. The bandage covering his right hand was pulled, revealing a military dagger. Then, he stabbed Chen Dong hard with the dagger. Chen Dong narrowed his eyes slightly. I really don't know how to live or die. Facing the attack, Chen Dong did not panic and easily grabbed the fox's wrist. The smile on the fox's face froze instantly. The dagger in his hand was very close to Chen Dong, but it didn't make any progress. Boom. Iron Arms group outside the fortress wall heard the sound of gunshots, but the fortress wall did not close. They knew that the fox's plan had succeeded. At this time, it was the perfect opportunity for them to attack the fortress wall in one fell swoop. Iron Arm rushed out first, followed closely by King Kong. A group of survivors followed. They shouted loudly and ran into the wall from the ambush flower bed at a very fast speed. The slightly open door was pushed open by the leading TB and King Kong. TB raised his arm tied with a sword, and the other hand held a pistol, and shouted loudly, "Kill!" The survivors behind him shouted together, "Kill! Kill! Kill a few!" Everyone rushed into the wall of the barrier. This was their first time entering the wall of the barrier. It turned out that 10,086's life was so comfortable. There seemed to be two beautiful women in the villa, but what they were paying attention to now was not the beautiful cars and beauties, but the fox and other teammates who had fallen to the ground in the yard and died with their eyes open. Only one person was left standing. It was a man wearing high-tech armor like the Iron Man in the movie, who waved to them and signaled them to go together. There was no doubt that this was 10086, although they didn't know how such a uniform could exist, and they looked like mecha warriors in the movies. TB and the others would not be afraid at this point. Moreover, they had hot weapons in their hands. TB and the others didn't care how Fox died. In all likelihood, the assassination failed, and he was beaten to death by 10,086 in his uniform. It was just right. There was one less person to share the supplies. Chapter 69, Total Defeat, Vegetable Seeds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Iron Arm fired a shot at Chen Dong, and then commanded others to rush forward, trying to capture Chen Dong with human wave tactics. Ding! Failed to break the enemy's armor. The bullet hit Chen Dong's combat uniform, making a crisp sound. Apart from leaving a scratch, it did not cause any substantial damage. Chen Dong naturally saw TB's intention. Capturing alive is a very effective method for Chen Dong in combat uniform, just like Tian Xiaoyu before, but Chen Dong would not give them a chance. Chen Dong took out the UMP-9 submachine gun. Fuck him! Iron Arm and King Kong, who were running in the front, saw it and cursed loudly, trying to stop, but they were pushed forward by their teammates who rushed into the wall of the barrier behind them. At this time, Chen Dong had already opened the safety bolt of the UMP-9 submachine gun and fired wildly at the dense crowd. In fact, the power of the UMP-9 submachine gun is not that amazing. But there are so many people. With 20 or 30 people suddenly rushing into the yard, it was inevitably a bit crowded, there was no need to aim, and a burst of bullets was followed by screams. These survivors who were still full of ambition and wanted to attack Chen Dong yesterday, became Chen Dong's ghosts in the blink of an eye. Some guys who failed to rush into the barrier wall in the first time saw that their teammates in front of them had quickly fallen down and had no power to fight back. They ran away. Chen Dong had already cleared the intruders in the yard at this time, and saw that there were still many fish that slipped through the net, so he shouted, "Don't run." Then, he rushed out of the barrier wall and chased after them. All the guys involved in this operation were cleaned up. Next, it was the aftermath. Loot the supplies of the three teams, drag the bodies out of the streets of the villa area, and wait for the zombies to clean them up, then use the water that Fox traded to him before to wash the blood stains in the yard, and throw the food sprayed with poison on the pile of Fox's bodies. He didn't know that these things were poisonous at first, but he tried them with instruments based on the principle of safety first. As a result, it was found to be toxic wastewater. Chen Dong naturally didn't dare to take it, although it was a pity, he could only discard it. In the next few days, when searching for supplies, Chen Dong got some fresh seeds. When opening the supply box, Chen Dong, Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu leaned forward and looked at several bags of vegetable seeds, tomatoes, peas, rapeseed, bean sprouts, and many varieties. For a moment, they felt that they had no idea where to start. In the past, they were just some young people who studied in the city, not to mention the children of rich families like Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu. Even Chen Dong, who was poor and depended on his grandfather, had never done these things. Xie Anqi asked curiously, "Chen Dong, how should we grow vegetables?" Tian Xiaoyu blinked and said hesitantly, "We should plant them and water them, right?" Chen Dong held these bags of seeds with a tangled face. Although it's okay to plant and water and fertilize, each vegetable has different habits. Some prefer to absorb water, while others don't need too much water to survive. It's a bit troublesome. Tian Xiaoyu sighed, somewhat helpless. "Hey, how long have we not been able to eat fresh fruits and vegetables? They are all canned fruits and vegetables. We finally got some seeds, but we don't know how to plant and care for them. I regret not learning how to plant fruits and vegetables from Uncle." Chen Dong laughed. He was amused by Tian Xiaoyu's aggrieved expression. "Xiaoyu, if we didn't know how to plant vegetables before, we can learn to plant vegetables now. Anyway, there are several bags of seeds, which are enough to waste to learn planting." Tian Xiaoyu nodded, and then was a little unconvinced. "What do you mean by waste? Planting vegetables is such a simple thing. Can't I learn it after a little trial?" Chen Dong shrugged and said nothing, but the expression on his face said it all. Tian Xiaoyu gritted his teeth and pulled Xie Anqi to the same front. "Anqi, let's grow vegetables together. When they are grown, we won't give them to Chen Dong to eat. Let him stare at the fresh vegetables." Xie Anqi was also happy to nod and agreed. Chen Dong looked at the two girls who kicked him aside after a few words, smacked his lips and thought, could it be that during this period, he did not have the dignity of a captain in front of the two girls? Chen Dong was not submissive, and snorted lightly and said, "Okay, then let's compete to see who can grow fresh fruits and vegetables first. The loser must agree to any condition of the other party. How about it, do you two dare?" Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu disagreed and patted their chests to express, "Why not? Hee, just wait and help us wash clothes for a week." Chen Dong smiled and said, "Then wait and see. I am a model planter, you just wait to lose." Chen Dong did not blush at all. "I am indeed a model of planting in other aspects, but it just didn't sprout." In order to make room for these seeds and grow fresh fruits and vegetables, Chen Dong specially collected a lot of fresh and fertile soil in the wild, then he packed the soil and seeds in foam boxes and placed them in the yard and on the rooftop terrace. Because they had no experience in planting, they placed the seeds too densely when they planted for the first time, resulting in a delay in their growth. At first, Chen Dong thought it was because of the strong sunlight, so he watered diligently, hoping for germination, until he found that the seeds had been soaked and rotten but had not sprouted. He tried to take out the seeds and sow them again. This time, Chen Dong did not learn from the lessons of the last failure. he had no idea why the seeds did not change, and just thought that he had watered them too much and killed them. The sun was shining brightly. Chen Dong wore a straw hat and carefully buried the seeds in the soil, muttering, "Grow quickly and grow quickly." In order to make the seeds germinate as soon as possible, Chen Dong directly poured the fertilizer into the soil and stirred it before putting the seeds in, although he always felt that this rough planting method seemed a bit wrong, but he couldn't say it specifically. Besides, he didn't know how to plant in the first place. Just break the jar and raise it as you should, maybe it will sprout. The same is true for Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu. Although they didn't spread out a handful of seeds like Chen Dong, they put a seed in a foam box. In theory, such sufficient space is enough for growth and germination, but they made the same mistake as Chen Dong, that is, they watered too much. The two stood in front of the foam box with vegetable and fruit seeds in the yard, looking at each other. They seemed to have not figured out why the seeds in the foam box had not sprouted for several days. Why is this? Chapter 70 Vegetable Planting Competition, A Wish. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Xie Anqi looked at Tian Xiaoyu, who was frowning and silent, and said, "Xiaoyu, did we make a mistake? Why haven't they sprouted after so many days? According to common sense, it only takes a few days for a fresh seed to sprout. Our seed is not dead, right?" Tian Xiaoyu pursed her lips, with an expression of doubt on life. "Probably, no. The seeds Chen Dong gave us are definitely not dead. After all, they were taken from the supply box. Could it be that we killed them?" Xie Anqi thought for a while and said, "There is no reason. We water it so many times every day, morning, noon and night, and there is plenty of sunshine in the yard. How could it be killed by us?" Tian Xiaoyu clasped his hands together in a serious manner, made a snap, and said seriously, "I know. We must have put too little fertilizer." Xie Anqi pointed to the pile of fertilizer in the foam box in surprise, somewhat unconvinced. "It's quite a bit. We've put half a bag of fertilizer. This is too much." Tian Xiaoyu shook his head and said with determination, "And Qi, it's just that we think too much according to the routine. Think about it, if it doesn't require a large amount of chemical fertilizer to be composted, how long will it take to use a large bag of chemical fertilizer? Therefore, you must put more chemical fertilizer so that the seeds can absorb sufficient nutrients." Xie Anqi was persuaded by Tian Xiaoyu's serious analysis and nodded subconsciously. "Okay, let's pour the fertilizer into the foam box together." Tian Xiaoyu smiled and said, "Okay." The two girls happily covered the seeds with most of the bags of fertilizer, fully expecting the seeds to sprout and grow. At this time, Chen Dong had already walked from the rooftop terrace to the yard. He pretended to be nonchalant, but in fact he wanted to see how Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu planted it and get some information. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu had just finished mixing fertilizer and spreading it on the seeds, when they saw Chen Dong walking over and blocking the foam box. Xie Anqi refused. "Chen Dong, no, we are in a competition now, you are cheating." Chen Dong scratched his head. "I just came to see how you are doing, but don't suffocate the seeds to death. I saw clearly upstairs that so much chemical fertilizer covers the seeds, it is impossible to specify." Tian Xiaoyu snorted disapprovingly. "You don't understand. Only when there are enough nutrients will they germinate." Chen Dong couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. "Xiaoyu, your school beauty and top student character is a bit broken." Tian Xiaoyu heard Chen Dong's whisper and could clearly see some slightly protruding veins on his white forehead. Grinding his teeth, but still smiling like a flower, he said word by word, "Anyway, I am a liberal arts student. I don't understand agriculture, and I can't say that my character has collapsed." "Chen Dong, you said before that you are a pacesetter in planting. If you don't grow fruits and vegetables, you will be in disgrace." Chen Dong raised his eyebrows with disdain on his face. "It seems that if I don't show some real skills, you will really treat my words as child's play. Wait and see how I handle you too." In the face of provocation, both sides refused to give in, but only they themselves know what they are thinking. Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu are full of confidence, waiting for the fruit and vegetable seeds they planted to sprout and bear fruit. When the time comes, they will hold the fresh fruits and vegetables in front of Chen Dong, and they will starve Chen Dong to death. However, if Chen Dong is willing to admit defeat, they can also consider peeling an apple for Chen Dong. Chen Dong, on the other hand, was lying on the bed at night and thinking, grass, it has not sprouted for 2 days, so it is not possible to plant it, right? I boasted about Haikao before, how embarrassed I would be if I lose and help 2 girls wash clothes. 2 days later, Chen Dong walked to the rooftop terrace to water the seeds as he had to do every morning. He has given up somewhat. No matter what I did, I couldn't get the seeds to germinate. He simply poured water twice a day, spread some fertilizer, and ignored it. Chen Dong was holding a small kettle, and he was near the foam box. The flash of green in the foam box made him feel a little dazed. It actually sprouted. The random vegetable and fruit seeds sprouted unexpectedly. Chen Dong ran to several other foam boxes to look at other varieties of vegetable and fruit seeds. All are green shoots emerging from the ground and full of vitality. Chen Dong gently stroked these hard-won little lives in the apocalyptic world and giggled. This vibrant green made him feel happy, different from the yellowing and dark green of old trees and dead grass in the wilds of the post-apocalyptic world. This kind of new life reflects the shiny freshness of young leaves under the sun. In the next few days, the green buds grew rapidly and sprouted tiny branches. The seeds in these supply boxes seem to be a little different. Since germination, it has grown at a rapid rate. In just a few days, the first round of fresh fruits and vegetables has been harvested, but at this time, Xie Anqi's seed still didn't move at all. This planting competition ended with Chen Dong winning. That night, while eating the fresh vegetables grown by Chen Dong, although Xie Anqi and Tian Xiaoyu were shy, they still asked Chen Dong to state their conditions. However, Chen Dong was not in a hurry and planned to save it for later use. The planting area will be opened up, and when the time comes, these foam boxes will need to be transferred to the underground fortress. Everything he does makes sense. The meteorite rain is coming, and they don't have many canned fruits and vegetables on hand. Even if there are enough staple foods and meat, the human body must take in various vitamins, minerals, fibers, etc. Once the meteor shower lasts for a long time, the canned fruits and vegetables in hand are consumed, and there is no way to go out to collect supplies. Failure to replenish various elements will also cause harm to the body in the long run. Therefore, it is very necessary for them to grow fresh fruits and vegetables, plant fresh fruits and vegetables before the meteor shower comes. Because of the special nature of these seeds, Chen Dong and his team have already picked 2 or 3 rounds of fruits and stockpiled a lot of inventory.